trigger warning or whatever. I'm going to be showing human specimens. Is everybody okay with that? We're going to get really close and personal with the heart. Okay, good. All from the UBC donated body donation program, so it should all be good. So we combined the 3D scanning data set and the photogrammetry. And the reason we do that is we did a comparison, like we studied it. We did both, and we really compared it. And we found that there were advantages to each technology. And so we published a paper, which one should I use? And it was, well, it depends on the task, depends on what you want to do. And then we were like, okay, so we're always going to have to choose. But I was like, I don't want to choose. I want the best of both worlds all the time. And so I, as if I was part of this, my students came up with a way to combine the two data sets, which is actually, which was a little bit challenging, and it works most of the time, but not in every single case. And that allows us to have a really precise geometry and a really wonderful surface texture. What we found with some of our complex specimens was that photogrammetry would not be able to reconstruct the concavities and convexities exactly how we wanted them. So it wasn't just a matter of millimeter precision, it was really a matter of depth and everything. And so for example, if you're looking at a skull, you want to make sure you get the depth right. So by scanning it first and then using the surface texture, we get a pretty cool skull at the end, like a human skull, when we're looking on the inside. I think the bear skull is different because we're looking at the outside of that one, that particular case. So I'm going to show you one of my favorite things, which is, well, my favorite thing is the brain, but in terms of the photogrammetry things, I've got a really nice heart. So this is what we have been doing, which is taking pictures of hearts like this, and then we can highlight things, right? So we've had this for years, like this is what we tell our students to study with. But it's a two-dimensional image. So then, when we do the photogrammetry on it, oh man, it's gonna have to, okay, it loads quickly, good. Theoretically. We did the same thing, so we put hot spots on there so that they can look into it, but now watch, we're gonna go right into this ventricle. Sorry, it's a little bit quick, right? But look at that, I can look through I can put my head into that mitral valve, right? And look right into, from the left ventricle, right into the left atrium. And one of the questions that I give to my biomedical engineering students to solve in the lab, I ask them, so when you look at the anatomy of the mitral valve and you look at the anterior cusp here, you know, what consequences does the position of the anterior cusp of the mitral valve has from hemodynamics in the left ventricle? And
they go, of course.
And, right, and so they'll look at it and then they're like, I don't even know what she's talking about. But then they actually have to fill out their lab sheet. And so they go home and then they can go back to the specimen and look at it and go, okay, here's that anterior cusp. So, oh my God, there's the aortic valve. So by the position of that cusp, I'm directing the blood right through the aortic valve. So it's, whoa. So it's a really valuable teaching tool in that way that we can use this. The other reason we really wanted to do this is we have a beautiful collection of specimens here at UBC. We have a distributed medical program, and we have anatomy collections at all sites. So for anatomy, we're A-okay. But physicians need to learn not just about the normal, but about the pathology as well. And we have a beautiful collection of pathology specimens at VGH. And in fact, most of our macroscopic images or specimens are stored or retrieved at VGH. So if you have a certain pathology you want to look at and you are doing your family practice rotation in Fort St. John and you just want to review that specimen, well, you're fresh out of luck. Because in contrast to your colleague who's doing their family practice rotation on Broadway, you can't go to VGH, to the museum, to have a look at those things. So we're 3D scanning and doing photogrammetry on the entire collection at VGH and creating a virtual museum that we're putting on Sketchfab, and then people will be able to look at it like that. Sketchfab is what we're doing right now. Now the limitation with Sketchfab is that you're still interacting with a three-dimensional object through a two-dimensional screen. So at best, it's 2.5D, right? You're looking at a three-dimensional object at different angles through the two-dimensional screen. We're still losing a little bit of the depth and a little bit of the plot, quite frankly. So Center for Digital Media collaborated with us, and they did a really quick 3-week sprint and created a beautiful pathology museum for us, a virtual one. And because the rules don't apply in virtual reality, it's a beach house. You're looking out on Kitts Beach, and you can bring, so you don't have to be in the sub-basement. It's kind of nice, no tiled floors. It's a really beautiful architecture looking out onto the water. And then, why not, right? And you can bring your specimens in there and interact with them in a pretty natural way. For a 3-week prototype, I was really impressed with what we have. So we're taking that now and building on it. A couple of things that are proving to be complicated. Turns out these really precise and beautiful objects, they're really large. So we're going to have some issues making sure that we can access it. So we're looking at networking it, we're looking at sort of server space and how to solve those problems. But kind of working